Welcome, everybody. Yeah, it feels like when we do these things once a week, it feels different when we used to do it every twice a week. So we are also adapting the whole time to different environments and different ways of doing things. But we are once again welcome everybody to the green room. We will look and mention a couple of attendees that we have. We've got Derek, Fadil, Trish, Williams. Welcome everybody. Apologies for the late change in link, but we try and schedule these webinars every week with beforehand, and Zoom only allows you to do 7 weeks, and it looks like we ran out of those weeks without knowing. So they must maybe build a notification button or that will tell us we need to update these things again. But welcome everybody. A gorgeous day, although it is winter. We still have a good topic that we are going to be covering today.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of people that are probably linking late because of that change of the link. So most of the people that joined the webinar side was people in the program, so they know the introduction to Induku, but maybe we'll just go straight into that. We obviously very excited today. We've got some wonderful panelists with us, as Lenny mentioned. But if you're joining us for the first time, myself, Trevor Thomas, and my business partner Lenny de Villiers, we are Induku. It's the Induku Group, and what we do is we help families that would like to get themselves into the United States of America. We assist them by a program called Live Your Dream. And this program is very exciting, and it's an opportunity to have a permanent residency, a green card at the end of the period that we walk you through. And if that is something that you'd like to investigate or something that you'd like to learn a little bit more about, then please get hold of either Lenny, myself, or anybody in the Induku team. And we'd love to show you how you can do this and live your dream. And in this, for those of you that were part of the webinar last week, we've now got an EB3 program, which is an employment-based visa, and as a permanent residency, a green card at the end of that, as well as a secondary program, which is called the E2, and that is an investment. So you can invest into businesses in America, which will also get you into the United States of America. So if you're looking to find out more about that, please get a hold of us. We look forward to meeting with you and channeling you through the right processes, giving you the right tools to make the decisions that you'd like to make in light of your opportunities to the States. Len, do you want to maybe just talk to us about the Green Room?
Yeah, as always, guys, the Green Room is a wonderful space where we discuss immigration on all fronts, on all topics. And on back of that, today we've also got a new topic that we are chatting about. But if you want to look at our previous webinars, look at what topics we have been covering already, and you can go back and look at immigration, the psychology of immigration, immigrating with pets, relocation. See if any of these things will resonate with you at the season or step where you are with immigration. And like we said, this Green Room is not just for our applicants that follow our Live Your Dream program to America. It is for anybody that wants to immigrate even to Panama. You would also need certain documentation. You will also go through emotions. You will also need to relocate some of your stuff. All these processes and people that we've got as what we've had as panelists, these people can also still help you. So we ask you to please reach out to them. These people are experts in their field, and we've done our research on them, and they are people that we do recommend as well. So we stand by them. And if you have a topic that you would like us to cover, if it's something we haven't thought about yet, please reach out to us, even on the chat, either in Facebook. Give us an indication of what the topic is and some detail around that, so we can cover and research that for you. And we will get those panelists on, and we will question them, and we will ask the questions that you would want to ask. So once again, we will ask you to get your questions ready for our panelists today. If you have got a question for them, please highlight it so you can ask them directly on the webinar today. If we don't get to your question, we will then obviously get some questions and answers for you, and then just get back to you on that link. So I just wanted to add one or two things, some good news. Unofficially, we have heard that, for our Live Your Dream program, when it's official, we will also still tell you, but unofficially, we've heard that the National Visa Center are looking at extending the EB3 green card. I think it's probably maybe the EB3 and maybe the EB2 as well, from where they are issuing 41,000 odd green cards in every fiscal year, that from October this year, when the new fiscal year starts, they might increase it to 60,000. So that is quite good news. But like I said, when we get official confirmation of that, we will also notify you. The other set of good news is for our applicants going to America. Unemployment data just came out at 2:30 this afternoon, and American unemployment data did drop to 11% from 13%. So it looks like that country is getting back to a semi-normal as well. And the Rand is also then at 16.90 for those of you that want to look at converting money. But without any further ado, we want to ask Trevor to do an introduction for our panelists today.
Yes, absolutely. We're super excited to have the gentlemen from Harcourts, Mr. Louis Barbosa and Ryan Curry. It's such a great pleasure to have you guys join us today. We've obviously known each other for a number of years. Ryan and myself have also known each other for how old are our boys now, Ryan? So it's 13 odd years. So it's so great to have you gentlemen on the program. I think what's important for people to understand is what to do in the space, what to do in terms of their properties, etc., etc. So before we get into those questions and before we spend a little bit of time with you around what's happening in South Africa and the different options and the solutions there, Louis, may I turn to you and ask you, would you be so kind as to give us a couple of minutes, just talk to us about who you are and how you got into where you're at the moment. And obviously Harcourts, Ryan, I know you've been in the industry for over 35 years. So we certainly amongst champions yet this afternoon. But if you could give us a little bit about you, Louis, what makes you?
Yeah, thanks very much. 35 years is like a lifetime. At least I'm a survivor. We're still here. Harcourts Rhino, we've been in business for 31 years. We used to trade under different entities. 10 years ago, we joined the Harcourts Group, which just basically pushed us up to a completely different level. That was our motivation of actually going with Harcourts. The IT program, when we joined them, and probably even now, is probably 4 or 5 years ahead of our competitors. They keep trying to catch up, but obviously we're doing everything possible to stay ahead.
Fantastic. Louis, just a quick one. I mean, have you always been on the West Strand in terms of Harcourts, or I mean, which areas do you guys cover?
Okay, Harcourts is in fact the 4th largest group in the country. So there are Harcourts offices throughout the country, from the north right down to Cape Town. We operate on the West Rand. So our franchise covers the whole of Roodepoort and Krugersdorp. But the beauty is that Harcourts is very much a family. If there's somebody wanting to get rid of property in Benoni or in Kimberley or whatever, we pick up the phone, we have a chat to our local guy there, we do the referral, and that's basically how it works.
Fantastic. Ryan, speak to us a little bit about you. Tell us more about Ryan Curry.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. I've been fortunate enough to be with Louis for just on 15 years now, obviously in the sales side of things. As Louis said, about 10 years ago, we went over to Harcourts. And again, I can just echo what Louis was saying in terms of being part of this brand and just being able to take things to the next level. Yeah, so it was my first job, if you want to call it that. And here we are 15 years later, still surviving and pushing through. But yeah, geez, I must say, honestly, the last couple of months have also just been, again, a major factor in being part of this awesome group in terms of the technology that Louis has mentioned. I think that's what's got us through this last period, and actually ended up having quite a successful lockdown, believe it or not.
I think if I can just add, Ryan's being quite modest. He hasn't mentioned that he's number 3 in the country out of something like 1,150 agents.
Sure. Fantastic.
Yeah. Ryan, I would have started with that, man. Guys, that's well done.
He's being humble because he's next to Louis.
No, that's all good. Guys, I want to just ask you maybe just to, elaborate a little bit more on the Harcourts established name. Obviously this is a wide industry. What sets Harcourts apart from other people? So at the moment, when you drive on a street, you see numerous boards up, people for sale and stuff like that. I mean, just tell us a little bit more about Harcourts and what, differentiate you guys from the rest of the people out there.
Okay, I think if I can maybe chip in here. Harcourts is international, originally from Australia and New Zealand. They're now into, I think it is 11 different countries, of which the United States is one of them. So you're not just dealing with a local brand or a local office that operates just in Roodepoort. We get referrals from all over the country, people moving. We in turn refer people as well, which I think one of the advantages of actually hooking up with you guys. And I think if you see how Ryan's dressed, I think that's what sets us apart from a lot of the guys that are out there. And I don't want to be disparaging in any way, but we try our utmost to be totally professional.
Yeah. So Louis, I'm also going to direct this question to you, if I may. And while it's always good to have friends, and we've also played golf once or twice together and that sort of stuff, this is purely about business. And it's, what really struck me was when Ryan was showing me some of the technology that you guys have. I mean, in this COVID space, people don't always want to open their homes. People don't always want to have people go in. People are scared to go into homes. I mean, talk to me a little bit about this wonderful virtual thing that you guys are doing in terms of showing houses and that sort of stuff. I mean, when was that birth? Because if I remember correctly, it was actually prior to COVID.
It was prior to COVID, but what's happened, COVID has actually forced us to take us up another notch. The virtual show houses that we do, we now are also going big into video and actually YouTube videos. We found that there was a product called Matterport, whereby it took you through the whole property, but you had to navigate yourself through the property. There were little dots. You had to press on the dot, it would show you the room from one angle, and there would be another dot in the room. You could move across, press on the dot from that angle, and you see the room from the other side, which was great. But we found that people prefer to just press one button and watch a video and have somebody talk them through the property, down the lounge, or down the corridor, into the bedrooms, into the bathrooms, the entertainment areas, outside, that sort of thing. And that's where we're becoming probably the primary operators in the country right now. And it's obviously helped us during this COVID period.
Yeah. So Ryan, the next question, obviously to you, you don't get to be number 3 in the country for nothing. Have you guys also dealt a lot with a lot of people that are looking to immigrate? This is obviously a space of people immigrating. There's a lot of emotions involved. There's a lot of factors that come into play when you're going to be immigrating. I mean, is this a space that you guys find yourself quite relaxed in, quite comfortable with, something that you deal with often?
I think, yeah, Trevor, based on that, I think, again, even prior to where we are right now, I mean, we actually went back and looked at our numbers in terms of where our sellers were coming from. And a large percentage of our sellers are people immigrating. So I think you mentioned it in your introduction, in terms of, I think Lenny mentioned now earlier about the emotions that go with it and all of that kind of thing. Very often your primary residence is probably the biggest asset as an individual that you would own. And more generally speaking, the average South African, that's kind of where your money is generally tied up. So we found this now over the last couple of years where that is the vehicle that people are using to fund the immigration process. And together obviously comes all the pressures and the emotions. So yes, we have certainly as a team had the experience and all the different scenarios in terms of people immigrating, working with timelines, when to do it, when to put the house on the market. So without a doubt, it's something that at least once or twice a week, we are seeing people individually that are either looking to do it or they are in the process.
So Louis, just before the webinar, we had a quick brief chat just to obviously as an introduction, just how you guys are doing. And I mean, you mentioned that you guys are quite busy and you guys are booming. I would think that, you know, even from my perspective, thinking of selling my house when immigrating, you always start becoming your own worst enemy. And you think you're a professional in anything, going, no, I have to get this and this ready before I can sell my house. It's got to be in September. It's got to be in this day. So obviously COVID has changed things so much. Obviously, and interest rates have dropped, which is always so good for the property market, you know. So I think that is what sometimes people don't take into account. All they see is the negative COVID side of it, and they're going, oh, I'll never be able to sell my house, you know, because of COVID. But the big impact that interest rates have on homes is significant. I mean, and that maybe play part of the reason why you guys are so busy. Maybe just elaborate a little bit on that for us.
Lenny, it's quite interesting because we were really worried about what was going to happen once we were allowed to go back into the field and actually work. You know, we wanted whether there was going to be a serious bounce rate or whether people, as you say, would be too scared to actually commit and actually sell at this stage. The interest rates have definitely had a great effect. And we, in fact, heard along the grapevine this week that government is obviously very interested in stimulating the economy further. So we are possibly looking at a further drop in interest rates. By how much, obviously, we don't know. But if I can just share with you that we were allowed to effectively trade from the 1st of June. Up until the 30th of June, we have had our best month ever. And that's in 31 years. And whether that was due to the fact that the agents have all been sitting at home and had a lot more energy when they got back, I don't know. But obviously there's an appetite for people to actually transact out there at the moment for various reasons, the interest rate, first-time buyers, etc. So the market is definitely booming at the moment.
Sure.
That's good to hear.
That's very interesting, and but it is good to hear, most certainly. Ryan, when is the most ideal time? I mean, we were having a webinar recently, and we were talking about two families who were actually on the webinar with us that are part of the program. And some of the questions that were coming from people on the webinar were going, when did you sell your house? You know, when did you make the decision? Now's the time to do this and do that. I mean, if one had to ask you now, when is the best time for anyone that is wanting to immigrate to contact Ryan or the Harcourts team? When is that time? Do you do it, you know, immediately? Give us your advice there. What is your suggestion?
Right. Again, I mean, obviously we're nice and busy at the moment and the market is buoyant, but just to answer that, I would say as soon as possible to get a consultant in to come and just start speaking about pricing. I think that is obviously the foundation of being able to get the job done. So whether, you know, and again, I think it also ties in with your program in terms of, you know, whether it's a 12-month program or how far they are along there. But if it's somebody that's just starting out and is interested in your side of things, I would still say immediately get the consultant out just to start talking about price and get a good feel, because then you can also start planning correctly financially. And again, I mean, at the moment, even if somebody did have to make the call and put their property on the market and that process from sale takes 2 to 3 months, you know, at least then probably your biggest to-do list of getting the house sold, you know, if you can get that out the way, because like I said earlier, very often that's where one's funds are tied up. So you can also then at least not have to worry about that if your program kicks off and all of a sudden that's going to happen quicker. I mean, obviously the challenge with that is people might ask themselves, but what happens if I sell within 3 months and then where do I stay? You know, Harcourts as a group also, we've got quite a strong rental side of things. So that might be something to look at, is to rather get the job done as soon as possible and then look at a short-term type rental until the day that you actually get on the plane and go. So I wouldn't leave it too late. I would capitalize on the market at the moment. I mean, we're smack bang in the middle of winter. But I think we're having a knock-on effect of obviously COVID, but in a positive way, that things are happening, as Louis said. But come 1st of September, we go into a different kind of market. That's generally speaking when our industry picks up again. So I think at the moment, you've almost got two bites at it. You've got the buoyant market now with interest rates and all of that is affecting it. But come September, October, start of summer, it's a good time to be on the market as well. So we're excited about the next 6 months, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think on
And
top, just one, while we're on that topic, Trevor, sorry for interrupting.
no, please.
Is that, what is a beauty about this scenario is because everyone is making up their own assumptions of, being a property expert, is that when I'm not going to be able to sell my house, etc. But it's so encouraging to see that, because you said there's a lot of people that are selling is actually immigrating, but there is definitely buyers still. So you guys have both sides, which is super encouraging, so people don't have to be their own experts and reach out to you guys sooner rather than later. That's why these webinars are so good, is that, people would get it straight from the experts so that they can then make a better decision. I mean, it's just, sorry, just a thing that I picked up now.
Yeah, absolutely, Len. I agree with you. And I think that, for me specifically, I was like thinking, no, listen, like you say, we all become experts in this now. I think, from September, et cetera, et cetera. So Ryan, maybe one of the questions that you can answer for us is this, that a lot of people are going, you know what, I need to do this on my house and I need to do that on the house. And sometimes we make the wrong decision in doing that. I mean, would your advice be that we get the professionals out like you to come across and come and look at the place? And before we start spending money on, because our wives are wonderful beings and they say to us, no, when you're selling a house, your bathroom must be right and your kitchen must be right. Meantime, they've got alternative motives, I think. But anyway, then we're spending a whole lot of money there where effectively you could have maybe sold the house and said, listen, we're going to take 50 grand off the price because of X, Y, or Z. You know what I'm saying? So do you suggest we get someone out immediately from you guys, rather get the professional advice? I mean, one's house is probably never in a perfect state for sale, or how do you see that? I mean, you guys deal with this daily.
So basically, again, I would say as soon as possible. And even if that first meeting is just to give advice, to maybe hear the homeowner out and hear what they've maybe got in mind to do. Obviously, the question always comes in about overcapitalizing. And as you said earlier, you can very quickly get carried away with that side of things. And very often that is not directly linked to market value. And that's where a lot of people get it, mixed up, is that they think they can put a new bathroom in and it's going to add double what they spent on it. It doesn't work like that. I think also in the market that we're in at the moment, and when I say at the moment, I'm talking about the last 18 months from my experience, I would rather look at a situation where we get the price more aggressive. So rather than spending 50,000 Rand on bathrooms, for example, is rather get the price more attractive and list it at the more attractive price. And you'll probably end up saving more money that way anyway. The other side of it is, people say to us, should we take out carpets and put in tiles? Should we put in laminate flooring? Every single person we deal with is completely different. So you might sit with a homeowner now that goes and tiles the house out, and the next person that walks in likes the house, but he wants to change those floors. Mm-hmm. And that is where that comes in. So I would rather keep it as basic as possible. There's many other ways to stage your home to get the best possible price from it. Just normally a general good cleanup and tidy up and all of that. Neat houses always sell. So sometimes it's the very inexpensive things that can actually get the job done for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and a question on my side is a double question. So COVID, did it have any impact on prices so far? So obviously you guys would have get the data from other areas as well, just to give people an idea about, yes, the markets look like it's booming on your side, but what has been the price effect on COVID?
If I can jump in there, I actually think what happened was COVID was obviously a huge shock for all of us. So it was almost like the market ran until the 27th of March and then just stopped. And nothing happened, and we weren't allowed to do anything. So obviously when the market reopened, I think there was an appetite, and I think that's what's maybe driving the activity in the market right now. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
So no real price drop in houses at the moment. I mean, what they were listing for about in the beginning of the year and what they're selling for now. I mean, is there no evident collapse in prices or anything?
No, Lenny, if I can, actually the contrary. Rather than property prices dropping, what's happened with the activity is some properties that have been in the market for a year, all of a sudden are selling. Okay. So whether, I don't think we've arrived at a point where it's become a seller's market and property prices start to increase dramatically. But what is happening is that the existing stock that is out there is getting marked up.
Okay, and just on the back of that, so what is the timelines at the moment? So once again, we don't want people just to be their own experts and saying, yeah, the transfer attorneys are taking forever to do the transfers, and it's going to take a whole year to sell my house because of these acts. So what is the timelines on selling a home at the moment?
Okay, effectively we have two seriously bad components that are hindering transfers taking place timelessly. The first one are the municipalities. They have to issue clearance certificates. We can't get any registrations done without clearance certificates. And the second one is obviously the actual deeds office, because both of those two entities, if somebody sneezes, they close for 4 days, re-sanitize, and then come back online. My opinion is until the government introduces a no pay if you don't arrive for work basis, this is going to continue for a while still.
Yeah, that's frustrating, eh?
So, Louis, maybe this is a good question for you as well. We've got someone asking us, did we see a capital value lower in the housing market bracket above 3 million?
Not really. What's happening at the moment is there are buyers at all levels. We have, and I think we had this discussion just before we actually opened up. We've got buyers coming in and buying the little cheapies for 350,000, right up to 10 million rand. And there are serious buyers out there at that level at 10 million. I mean, Ryan's got a property at the moment. He was telling me earlier on today, he's had something like 7 inquiries on a 10 million rand property.
Sure.
Yeah, so,
Ryan, tell me something. Some people, when we, talking about immigration and people that are obviously in our circles at the moment are very much about, yes, I'm immigrating and I'm busy selling a home and stuff like that. And people bring up this, I'm going to sell my property privately. I'm sure you hear this often. What talk to us about that. What are the things to understand here?
I think Lenny keeps mentioning the word experts.
Yeah.
Like anything, if you want to get, the maximum out of it or get the job done correctly, whatever field it's in, generally you would go to the experts. If I've got a headache, I'm not going to go just to the guy on the side of the road. If I've got something wrong with it and I need a brain surgeon, I'm going to go see the top brain surgeon that's available. I'm not going to go to the local doctor that does everything else other than that. So you need specialists in every industry. I think more so now than ever, with all the legalities that go with it, the deeds office, like Louis was saying, council, there's a lot of things that, we get involved with in terms of the back end. Also negotiating your own sale, when you're emotionally involved, it becomes very difficult. So if you're a salesman and you've come from a sales type background, it might be a bit easier. But generally speaking, if you don't have any sales background, they also can become difficult with the emotions that are involved, closing the transaction, the follow-ups that go with it. So yeah, no, it's I think more now than ever, you need somebody to hold your hand from the beginning process until the money's in the bank account. There's a lot of stuff than just finding a buyer.
I think I want to add there that what should be really important if you're selling and you want to immigrate, you need every rand that you can get out of that home. And the way to do that is to have somebody who's an expert make sure that they get you top dollar for it.
No, agreed. And to that point, how do you guys look at establishing what is market value in those places? I mean, you guys obviously have the methodology, et cetera, but talk to us in light of that. I mean, a lot of people that are part of this program are homeowners and family people that have probably been in homes for a very long period, and now they're making this big move to go across. And maybe that understanding would also just guide them in terms of this path forward. How do you get to a market value?
Cool. All right. So obviously there's two big factors we look at when pricing a home. The first one would be what has been happening in and around you from a sales point of view. All right. So we've got the data on hand, and also again, coming back to being an area expert, if you want to call it that, we keep stats and figures of what is happening within our area specifically. So what I'm saying by that, backed up by statistical data, which we pull from the deeds office, we can see what values have been sold and everything in and around you. So that gives us a good indication in terms of what the banks are prepared to loan and what the market is able to fetch. Obviously, each home is different in terms of finishes, accommodation. That's when we also look at, which is the second leg of it, where we see what we're competing against. Again, you know, when you're in a market where we're in a buyer's market and it's flooded with stock, you need to now stand out, you know, amongst everybody else. So we need to then identify our competition within that area where the home is situated. You know, if you become the most expensive home, it's going to take you that much longer to sell. But if you become more aggressive on your pricing and you become the best value for money available within that market space, then that's when the buyer, you know, will trigger and the transaction will happen. So we look at stuff that is sold recently, and we look at what we're competing against. So that changes all the time. But that's where we start arriving at a market value.
Okay.
Gentlemen, you guys have given us so much. You know, you guys have been very, very professional. We have enjoyed having you guys here today. I think you guys have made a big impact on my side. I think on Trevor's side as well, and hopefully for our participant and applicants as well. And hopefully, you know, these people can get hold of you guys quite soon and, you know, make use of all your services. I mean, you guys are not just fancy dresses. I think you guys are good salesmen as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, I think, gentlemen, it was a great time to be together. And before I'm going to ask Ryan to give us details of how we can get hold of you, I think what's also important to just state over here is that understanding what we require for guys to go overseas and understanding the property market, and that sometimes there's things in place. We also want to say to our listeners and to everyone out there that we've also come to an understanding with Harcourts guys that they could issue guarantees of the property sale once it's there to assist you if you're utilizing property money to get your immigration process into a place of the green light. So, you know, it's important to have these strategic partnerships in big facets of immigration. And we're very excited and we're proud to have partners like Harcourts on board. Louis, thank you very much. Ryan, we appreciate you guys. Can you give us contact details? How can the people that have been listening to us and are going to listen to us in the future get a hold of you?
Trev, I don't know if you maybe want to put it in the chat box if you can, but I think what's best is my cell phone number and obviously my email address. I'll give it to you now. My cell phone number is 072 235 7794.
Okay.
And email is ryan.curry@harcourts.co.za.
Fantastic. So we will obviously ensure that the people that are part of our program, they will get a communication with regards to this. There's a lot of people that watch this after the fact. Please, ladies, we know that these gentlemen are good-looking gentlemen. They are spoken for. Congratulations, Ryan, on your newly born little kid as well.
Thank you.
Little Carter. So very, very nice. Guys, thank you for your time today. It was great. From my side, that's all I'm going to say. Louis, last few words, anything that you'd like to finish off with?
We'd love to help anybody who would like a professional service and, more important, getting the most possible price for your home. Just give us a shout. We'd love to help you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, again, I think just to quickly just sum up, like Louis said earlier, you know, one of the strengths of Harcourts is our referral network throughout South Africa. So wherever you are situated, you know, everything will be channeled through myself directly. and then we will then pass it on to the correct channels within the Harcourts network and directly to your area specialist wherever you are, whether it's in the Cape region, Natal, Free State, in Gauteng. So I'm not going to be personally handling all of it, but I will definitely be managing it from my side and making sure that you're in safe hands with one of our colleagues within the network.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I think just before Lenny signs off, I think what's also very encouraging is that we've had from the first conference that we had, Ryan, I think we've had 2 properties from people that have been part of this that have already sold and successfully sold their properties via Harcourts, which is also encouraging, very nice to hear. And a lot of our people are now into the next phase of immigration, which is literally more defined timelines, and I'm sure that you're going to be getting a lot of calls very soon. From my side, thank you, gentlemen.
Guys, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Chat to you
Good.
guys soon.
Thanks, guys. All the best.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.